You're listening to Estrogen Dropouts.
Welcome back to Estrogen Dropouts. I'm one of your hosts, Elizabeth.
And I'm your other host, Erin. Today, we are going to be talking about ways to protect your peace during the holidays. But everything that we're going to be talking about can be applied to any time of the year, right? It's not just the holidays, right, Elizabeth?
Yeah, and today is going to be a little bit different. Usually, Erin and I kind of share notes with each other on like where our talking points are going to be. Today, I have no idea what Erin's going to talk about, and she doesn't with me either. And on the things that we do to keep our peace. And this subject is near and dear to my heart because I'm a head case at the holidays. I am someone that does not like the holiday season. I have not, and I have been working hard the past few years to overcome that because I don't like that I get so tense. And I think it's just because I feel so much pressure to make everything perfect. You know, I'm shopping by myself. There's a lot of weight on me. So anyway, I just carry a lot of stress. And so it's hard for me to do it all. And so here are things I've been consciously working on this for about 5 years now of trying to get over my anxiety around the holidays. And here are some of the things that I have found. Let's start with shopping. So whenever I go shopping now, that was like one of the things I hated more than anything was shopping at the holidays. One, I find that I can be an indecisive person. And I think it's just, I get overwhelmed with too many options. And so now taking in the decor around me and taking in lots of breaks and giving myself a treat and letting yourself sit. So like kind of to really be present in that moment when I'm like shopping at the mall, to like sit down on a bench when I see one and just look and watch the families. And when you look around, you're going to see a lot of people have joy on their face. I was not one of them, but a lot of people do. And then get myself a sweet treat while I sit there and just take a break for a few minutes and gather my thoughts.
Well, I was going to say, for shopping, one of the things that you would do beforehand that could help eliminate stress for people is to have a set budget. Because I think sometimes we get panicked when we can't, and then it's just like, I'll just take all of this, because we tend to overdo because we get into that mode of where, again, we want everything to be perfect. So setting a realistic budget for yourself the month before, maybe in November, looking at this is how much I have to spend. And that way you don't go into January with the stress of knowing that you're going to have a giant credit card bill that you're going to have to pay off. So that's what I would say. I hate to shop as well. And I do most of my shopping online because I don't like crowds. I don't want to fight with people over like things that are, on a Black Friday special, or I would prefer to like pay a little bit more and avoid that madness. We did that when Jeff and I were first married and with our oldest son, Garrett, and we were poor. It's like get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, get there at 5 o'clock when the stores open and, fight for the special toy of the year or whatever.
Yeah, we've done that. I don't do that anymore. I don't do the Black Friday shopping. I try to avoid that. I've done it a couple times. It is so stressful. I'm like, I can't. I was now with Cyber Monday, and even now the sales have already started. I actually like that. I've seen on TikToks where people don't like that and they just like all the sales to come. I'm like, that is so intense and stressful.
Intense and stressful. You're constant.
Yeah.
And then if it's only on sale for like this 24 hours and you've got something going on that day and you can't get on. Yeah, I've already taken advantage of some Black Friday deals.
Yeah, same. And I also like I had to let go being perfect with the gifts, and I have to trust that it's the thought and like the sentiment, and give gift receipts if I'm uncomfortable. Like if I can't trust that they're going to love it. Cause sometimes I get in my head like, oh my God, is this good enough? Are they really going to like it? Are they like, I think it looks like, but is it, so I just have to let that go and
then don't take offense if somebody takes something back.
Yeah, absolutely. I would never. I would rather you return something than have something sit and gather or donate it. And then it's like, I just threw away $50. Get a store credit.
Well, plus somebody can listen to our gift guide episode, and we gave some really good ideas for gifts that go beyond, the normal gift. So I would say go listen to that one if you haven't already.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I was going to say another thing is simplifying the holidays. I think especially with social media nowadays, and you just see these perfectly curated homes Or even if you've ever gone on a holiday home tour and you go in these homes and everything is just like perfectly decorated, and then you get this like feeling like I need to do that. And so we have definitely in the last several years when my kids were littler, it was a little bit different. I might have gone a little bit more out with the decor just because it was fun. But as so simplifying the decor is one thing that I've done, is keeping it a little bit more low key where I don't feel like, especially come January, when you have to put all that shit away.
I'm with you. I would love to do less decor. Chris loves it
Oh,
and
does he?
is like right there helping me put everything up, and like he doesn't mind carrying all the bins. Like he is over the top with it. So we do it. We're over the top.
Okay. Well,
But at
it's
least I'm not
cool.
doing it by myself. Yeah, and he's like right there. And so but he loves it. So that's like his favorite thing.
Well, what's another one of the things that you've been incorporating for the last several years?
So I really try to focus on keeping the magic of the holidays alive. And whether or not you celebrate Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, like whatever it is, or nothing at all, what the holidays are a magical time, I think, because it brings people together. And for me, that is a lot oftentimes lost in all the shopping and like the requirements of what we think we have to do. And so I use the time for my adult kids because they love it. And so they also buy into the community and the like the togetherness. And so we focus on a lot of holiday crafts, game, and a lot of family nights. And so we do like painted family night where we'll all paint canvases and we paint a holiday scene on it. And my husband is a very talented like drawer. An artist, he can draw. And so for
Wow.
the kids that can't paint, like Hannah and I like freehand pretty easily, but like for the people that can't, my husband will draw something and then they'll paint it. Or we'll go to Hobby Lobby and they'll pick out like a wooden thing or something to paint just so we can have a family paint night. And then we play lots of games. And then we cook together. And then I do little things like just so that because they're so open to spending family time during this is like the time of year where they're like all just chill with you, like which normally they don't. And so I'll put out like this sounds silly, but do you remember? Have you ever heard of Magic Sand?
Yes, is that the stuff that's like kinetic sand kind of?
Yeah, it's like sticky sand. And so
Yeah.
we have some. And so I just sit it out on the kitchen counter. And so like at the bar, so like while I'm cooking, it never fails. Like one of my adult kids will sit at the bar and sit there and do kinetic sand or play with a bucket of slime, like while I'm literally, and it's just something about the season that makes them want to like hang out more. And I was even thinking like after Erin said that she and Jeff went to glass blow and like, oh, maybe we can do a glass blowing session. Like that would be so fun.
Yeah, as a family. I love doing experience things. And we do lots of games over the holiday as well. And when my kids were little, especially, we did a bunch of crafts. We
Hmm.
would make the cinnamon ornament that you press out. We would do the salt dough ornaments. We would do pottery ornaments that we would paint. And one of the things that I do to help keep the specialness, the magic of Christmas is I give them their own ornament. They've gotten an ornament every year from me from the time that they were born. And I write the date on the back. So, if it's 2025 or whatever. And I always make the ornament be something that was applicable to their past year. So, like the year that if they did taekwondo that year, it would be like a karate, belt or whatever. If they got their license, it would be a little car. If they got a phone that year, given them, little phone ornaments. And so like my grown boys, they have their own ornaments now that because they decorate a tree. And it's so fun. And I got ornaments growing up, not my whole life, but I have an ornament from 1970 from the year I was born. That was my very first Christmas ornament. And it's just so fun when, you're decorating your tree and it's like, oh, remember this ornament. And every time I travel somewhere, I get an ornament. I mean, not if I'm just like going to Alabama for the day.
Yeah.
I'm going, like when you went to New Orleans for your birthday, one of the things I always do, I would get an ornament that represents that trip. So then I think like, oh yeah, remember in 2025 when we went to New Orleans and it was for my birthday And so that's one of the ways I keep the magic alive without
Yeah,
having
we do the same thing. And
to,
so I don't get a mother-in-law started that with my kids, but it is they look forward to the ornament. It's like a big thing. So if you have not done this with your kids, it is not too late to start, because just think you're going to be alive for 40 more years or more, 50 more years. And so you can give them one that represents their family as they get married each year. But so every year my kids are like, I wonder what grandma's given us this year. It's like a big joke as they pull out the ornaments when we talk about it. And it's always themed for something they did that year. So it is a really nice thing.
yeah, I love the keeping the magic alive, because it is a magical time. And it's like, I think though we feel so much pressure. And so one of the things I think that, and you may have changed how you do this, but I think for a lot of people, first off, they feel overwhelmed with invitations to events. So it's okay to say no. You don't have to say yes to every single invite. I mean, I know that if you have FOMO, and you talk about you get FOMO a lot.
I
you know,
don't anymore. I did for a long time.
yeah,
Now
it's like,
I have no, now I'm like, no, I can't. I just
yeah,
get too overwhelmed.
yeah, exactly. It's like, I wish I could, but thank you for the invite. You don't have to say yes to every single thing. And then if you are hosting a gathering, keep it really low key. Ask people to bring things. But then the big thing I think for people is, and we can, I'm sure you probably have stories or you have some advice, is when you have family dynamics with maybe extended family, like with my own family, it's very peaceful. But I know friends that have, they get together with extended family. In fact, I was talking to a friend a couple weeks ago who was talking not so much about the holidays, but there was an uncle who was just wildly inappropriate to her when she was a child or like a teen. And then, so when she had her own kids, she said she wasn't going to have her kids around him. And just the drama that it created in the family, because everybody made excuses for creepy uncle, and it created a lot of stress and drama. And her parents like just basically go along or whatever. So, but I don't know what you think about when you have those family dynamics. So maybe you have political differences in your family or religious differences. And when you get together, or I've heard of friends who say if they're single, or haven't had a baby, like, when are you going to get married? Or when are you going to have a baby? All the inappropriate questions and all of the, hurtful comments.
Yeah. And so I've been seeing a lot of videos on all these different subjects on TikTok. So I just made a list of things that we could talk about that can help people if you have any of those scenarios happen, which I think everybody does at some point. So when someone says inappropriate or hurtful comments to you, so some of the most popular responses I've heard is for you to say, wow, that sounds like an inside thought. Like you could say, that sounds like, and then just kind of smile and be like, that sounds like an inside thought. Or, wow, that was a really weird thing to say. Okay. And then just change the subject. And then there's also, depending on how rude it was, you could just stare at them and then be silent and just let that, or you can say, I've heard therapists say, I'm sorry, what did you say? Would you repeat that?
Make them repeat it.
Make them repeat it, and then don't smile and just sit there and look at them and like kind of nod and let everybody take in their rudeness. And usually they'll start rambling and kind of backpedaling, but at least then you're calling out their inappropriateness without saying it directly. And then you could also ignore the comment and just super be direct and change the subject. Be like, act like they didn't say it, start talking to someone else. And then, of course, you can always just walk away. Did you have anything?
Well, that's what I was going to, is limiting time with negative people. So maybe even avoiding, like not in a way that is like when somebody comes up, like turning your head to them.
Yeah, but don't like sit next to the creepy uncle.
Right. Trying to keep busy with a conversation with someone else, or if they start talking, have what I would call a emotional recharge plan where you like excuse yourself. Oh, let me go refill my drink, or hey, do you need a refill on your drink? Or if you're at a family gathering or even a social gathering that maybe not is even family. But I think that is one of the hardest things though, because especially if you're a people pleaser, to just like not say anything if somebody says something rude because you want to explain. And I have had that happen where somebody has said something rude and you almost are like apologetic that they've just
Yeah.
said something so flippin' rude to you. It's like, I'm sorry that, that you think that I'm overweight or whatever it is, So it is really, it's going to take practice, I think, if you're not used to doing that, to be able to just deadpan stare at somebody who says something.
Yeah, so I think you really have to prepare for it and mentally like hype yourself up if you know you're walking into a situation, because I know like people have said, like extended family members have said stuff to me about my weight or about like just random different things over the years that have made me feel uncomfortable. And I've never said anything back. And then I leave and I ruminate and I think about it. And then it's not that that person then betrayed me, it's that I betrayed myself
In the moment.
because yeah, I didn't stand up for myself. Or I start fixating on the fact that like nobody around me was like stood up for me. But I didn't either. Do you know what I mean? And so then it's like,
You're kind of blaming somebody else that was standing next to you for
yeah,
not coming to your defense. They're probably also, because that's happened to me where
we're all just stunned silent.
that's what I was going to say is that where I probably haven't come to the defense. Actually, this happened not too long ago, and it's not with a family, but I'm on the social committee in my neighborhood. I'm the social co-chair and my co-chair. And we had a person that was on the social committee and she was like just lambasting my co-chair. And I was so frozen, and I'm not normally, I'm usually like, I take up for the underdog. I like am not afraid to have confrontation. I don't seek out confrontation, and you know that, but I'm not afraid to have confrontation. But it was so aggressive and so just like relentless in this meeting with other people that we were all stunned into silence. And I did have to apologize to her to say, I'm so sorry. I did end up kind of coming to her defense, and she was kind of also stunned into silence. We were just like looking at this lady like, what is wrong with you? Needless to say, this lady's not on the social committee anymore. And we're not the only committee that she's had a problem with. She also had a problem with the garden, but with the garden people. But it is when you are a bystander, you also have to prepare yourself for that. Like if
You
somebody says
do.
something, then like, well, that wasn't a very nice thing to say, or didn't your mother ever tell you if you don't have something nice to say, don't say anything at all?
Yeah,
Um,
and I think it's easier oftentimes for a bystander to come
yeah,
to defense than it is the actual person, because the actual person, it probably like triggered them and they're probably like shutting down like what the heck. So I do think we need to be aware and pay attention to what and kind of be ready, like have these things ready, like how are we going to, even if it's just like you abruptly put your back to that person and touch the person that was just offended, like with your hand, and be like, hey, so let's talk about whatever. Like that, I think even if you can't say something, that is like a, hey, that was not cool.
right, right. No,
That was obvious that that was not kosher.
yeah, definitely.
Um, but I also like the idea of if you have adult kids to like throw a box or two of cards in your bag when you go. And if you have little kids, crayons and coloring books, or if you have grandkids, and if dealing with some of the adults gets to be too much, start an activity with the kids.
Yeah.
Like even if even if it's adult kids or teens or whatever, just be like, hey, I'm removing myself from this political conversation, or I'm going to go whatever, and and then you're connecting with the kids in the family too. And that's
Yeah, because there's always that one relative that doesn't have the social graces. It's like, just because my political views are different from yours, I'm not going to totally beat you up because you have different political views.
yeah.
I'm going to say agree to disagree, especially at a holiday gathering. I'm not there to like talk my talking points of what I believe. But there's always that one relative who has to just rule the conversation with their either political or religious views and make everybody else feel uncomfortable. So I like that. So yeah, take the kids outside. I live in Georgia. It's never that cold here on Christmas or Thanksgiving. Go outside and play a game, a kickball. If they're little, even like get some exercise, take them, to the park or something. And that way you can give yourself that time to like go and regroup.
Yeah. And I think in some situations, like as the evening progresses, like you can always also have a plan with your partner. And you can say, hey, so like we know that things always get a little crazy and rowdy with your family as the night progresses. And I prefer to not be there. This is my holiday as well. I want to enjoy it and I don't enjoy it. And then I get stressed. And then I resent you for, have that honest conversation. I resent you for making me go somewhere that's kind of like how that typically feels. And so I think that if we have an exit plan, like you have to get to work early, or if
Have
like,
a safe word, like banana.
yeah, like have something that you can say, hey, it's time. And then you got to get home and feed the dog. You got to like have some type of plan that's like an exit strategy. And then I think too, like if you have somebody that is like, if the family situation is so toxic, that don't put your head in the sand when you leave and not address it with your kids. No matter the age, I think that you have to address it not in a gossipy way, in an ugly way, or like or a dismissive way. I don't think you should, oh, that's just Uncle Bob. You know how he is. Like, don't do that. I think you have a conversation and be like, yeah, they drink a lot. That's unfortunate. And I wish that they understood that when you drink that much, it harms your liver, it harms your brain cells, it like makes you behave in ways that people maybe don't respect. It makes people not want to be around you. And then if something so inappropriate was said, and a lot of people were witness to that, and maybe you froze or maybe you said something, you can still talk about it later and you can involve your kids with it depending on their ages. And you can say, how do you think I should have handled that?
Right.
I'm still trying to figure this out. It's an uncomfortable situation. Like, I don't want we can include them in the conversation and do it in a not an ugly way that we're bashing the family member, but we're doing it more of like a life lesson.
Yeah, I agree. I think one thing that's important to protect your peace during the holidays, and as a health coach, this is, right up my alley, is prioritizing your well-being and your self-care. Oftentimes during the holidays, you see all those funny little memes where it's like you're still in your pajamas, you don't know what day is it? Is it night? Is it Wednesday? Is it Friday? Is it Sunday? I have no idea.
And so you're like blackout shopping online, looking like you haven't showered, brushed your teeth, like drinking 5 cups of coffee.
Yeah, exactly. And it's fine to get off your routine some. This is the holidays. It's time to let loose a little bit, stay up a little bit late, sleep in, eat the indulgent food that you don't eat. But I think if you're somebody who knows that you have a really hard time if you don't maintain some of your routines, then trying to keep a routine. So trying to keep your sleep routine as close to your normal as possible, or let yourself have like a couple days and then go, okay, let me start moving back my bedtime. I mean, it's like when my kids over the summer, they'd stay up late and then 2 weeks before school, we'd start moving back bedtime a little bit, so we didn't have that abrupt change, the night before school starts. All right, you got to go to bed at 7 p.m. and they've been going to bed at like, midnight. And then make sure that you're, sticking to some of your healthy eating habits so that you're not getting so far off track, falling off the wagon, so that then you don't have the stress of in January where you're like, oh my gosh, now I've got to lose 10 pounds. So keeping some movement in your day so that you aren't just sitting around. I mean, it's okay to have those days where you just sit and watch Hallmark movies all day and you just eat bonbons and you just cry at the love stories. But
I love a good Hallmark movie.
Yeah,
I love it.
So I'm not a girly girl. I don't like love stories. They're so trite. But at the holidays, I've never even seen The Notebook. I know that's like probably.
No, I actually didn't like The Notebook personally.
Okay.
I know people are going to come for me there, but
yeah, well, everybody, that's like, I guess the bar that you like compare all love stories to or something. I've just seen so many little memes about it. But I do like a Hallmark movie, even though you know exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah, you do.
It's like big city, like small town girl moves to the big city, has her dream job.
Or opposite. No, she's from the big city. She moves to the small town. She's like on a Christmas tree farm.
Well, that's true. I've seen somewhere she's like, she came from this really small town and she moved to the big city to get away because she wanted to make her way in New York City. But then her mom gets sick or something happens. She has to go back to her small town and she
Hmm.
runs into the boy that she went to high school with who runs the hardware store and he has a
Those are
lab.
those are my favorite. Only Christmas ones, like the holiday
Well, that's
time.
what I was going to say. I can get
Any
into
other time
it.
of year, I don't like them.
I can get into it at the holidays. But so give yourself the opportunity to get off your routine a little bit, but within reason so that you don't just go completely off the rails. And for a lot of people, like for me, exercise is like how I keep my mental health. I keep myself mentally healthy. So I feel the best when I exercise regularly. It's like it keeps all the craziness. I just burn it off at the gym. So making sure that you have a little bit of adherence to your normal routine.
Yeah, I think that's great. And I have over the past few years stopped. It used to be I would be like the holidays and eat whatever I wanted constantly, and like I don't do that anymore. Now I'm like, okay, if I'm gonna have, like, I know I'm gonna have cookies later, so I'm gonna eat like heavy veggies like all day, or it's like I kind of plan for that a little bit better. Just so when I just, not for weight gain, I feel like my brain, and not like, I love me a Coke Zero too, but I cannot have them too often. I feel like my brain health suffers. Like, I feel like I get more like depressed and anxious when I have the more chemicals I put in. I just can notice it, and I just don't feel like myself.
Probably also the spikes in blood sugar. It's like,
Yeah.
when your blood sugar is going up and then you're having that crash. I mean, you get brain fog. So yeah, let yourself have the treats, but maybe it's just like if you're going to a party and there's going to be finger foods that are rich and high in calories and sugar. Have something like protein before you go. Have some chicken or something that you can use to give yourself a base so that your blood sugar doesn't go all over the place. I've never
Yeah.
been a big like indulger in the holidays. I mean, I do have some stuff, but I definitely try to keep it to where I don't have to sit there and dread that in January I'm going to have to lose that extra holiday weight because it's too stressful.
Yeah, totally. One other topic that I want to talk about is community and like giving back. And when I was growing up, my mom, she's adopted families and would do like a whole Christmas, like cabbage patches, turkey, like the food, everything. And she would take me with her to, one, pick out the items, and then two, to deliver them. And we never saw the fam. Like, we would just meet up with the mom at a location and give it all to the mom so she could give it all to her kids like it came from her. And I really think that made a big impact on me. And then also, and this wasn't like every year. Like, we did this a couple times, but it really, like, throughout my childhood, but it stuck with me. And then also, we would pack up, we've never volunteered at a food kitchen, but we would pack up brown bags of sandwiches and chips and drink or whatever, like apple, like all of that, and bottled waters for the homeless. And so I've done that with my kids. So that with my kids, we'll do the angel tree, and then we'll also
Yeah.
pack up brown bags and bottled waters, and we've given them out to DC because I live close to a big city. Although now I feel like the homeless population, it's growing so much, unfortunately. Like,
It's
I think you can see it at a stoplight, like right in your town. Like, so I just feel like we should probably just keep, like, it's just a family activity that also just reminds you to give back. And so, like, we could make sandwiches and keep little bags of food in your car, or in the fridge, that will last for like 3 days or something when you're driving around, give a couple
right.
out.
Right.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, we've always done that when our kids were growing up through their school, like Angel Trees, and through our church. We did the Operation, I don't remember what it was called, Operation Child or something, where the shoe boxes and you'd fill it. And we used to
Hmm.
have so much fun picking it out. I don't do much of that since my kids are out of school. I've always thought one year I want to volunteer at a mission or a soup kitchen or something for Thanksgiving or Christmas to like give back. Yeah. And it also helps you that by doing that, it gives you so much gratitude for everything that you have. It helps you see through through different eyes, like how blessed you are. I just have so much to be grateful for. And I think having a attitude of gratitude is a really good way to help you keep some of your peace too at the holidays.
Definitely. Well, talking about like once we get through the holidays, so I think the last thing that we wanted to talk about was just keeping part of keeping your peace is not overwhelming yourself with New Year's resolutions and trying to figure out what your goals are for the new year. So, Erin, will you share what you were telling me about, like in yoga, your practice? I
Yeah.
think this is brilliant. I mean, it's a little late for us to do it this way, but I like the concept.
Yeah. So in yoga, what I always did with my students when I taught actively year round for the 10 years is in the fall, as the days started to get shorter, I would ask them to set an intention or create not we didn't really call it a goal. Sometimes I'd call it sankalpa, which is like your heart's deepest longing. And they would have an intention that they would want to nurture. So it could be a resolution, and just another way of saying it. So if it's that I want to be more present, or, I want to prioritize my health, or whatever it is. And they would take that over the coming autumn and winter and nurture it. Almost like if you think about it before if you start plants from seeds, you put them down in the dirt and then you keep them somewhere dark, and they you focus on the roots rather than the shoot and the bloom. So you're focusing on the roots, so you're letting it become really entrenched in you. So you're like, okay, thinking about whatever it is that you're going to want to bring forth in the new year. Here's ways I could do it. And you're not just on December 31st saying like, I want to lose 10 pounds and stop smoking and I want to exercise more. And then you don't really bring it into fruition until the spring, until the days start to get longer. Because you think about, if you look at nature, the trees don't bloom in January. They don't send forth their best work in January because it's cold, it's dark, the days are short. We need to be conserving energy. It's our time to kind of hibernate. So that I've never made a New Year's resolution on December 31st because of that reason. It's just never seemed intuitively right to me to do that.
Yeah, I love that concept. And I don't do New Year's resolutions. I do set intentions for the year, which include physical things like I want to declutter this one closet that I've had, or I want to declutter my clothes, or I want to reorganize like a room or whatever. Like it would be something like I do things like that, or to repaint the porch, or like I do have those kind of things like goal. I think of it more as like goal settings.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also do like a personal things like usually I do love to set my word for the year.
I do
Um,
too.
yeah, so like I start thinking about my word, but I don't do any of that until January, and I don't like give myself a set date for it until I feel like I'm ready. So I am going to be fully present all throughout December. And in January, I won't start really reflecting on my past year until I'm going to put away all the holiday decorations and then clear out my house. And then I'm going to start really being thoughtful. And I'm not like forcing myself to be, by a date, and just like really thinking about what do I want to focus on this year. And I write it all out, and I have all of my lists. Sometimes I shoot for 100 things. That usually doesn't happen, but it's like all great stuff. Like I set all my intentions that are like working on developing my relationship with Hannah to be like more, I put like so much thought into it. So we can talk more about this in the new year. But if you are, so for me, it encompasses so many different things. That's just what I want to say. It's like kind of about how I want to, the type of person I want to be or work on more. And but I don't also guilt myself if I don't achieve some of those things. It's just like a way for me to manifest, kind of.
I was going to say almost like a blueprint for your coming year. Like
Yeah.
it's not necessarily like you have to do it, but it's where you see your
Where I want to
energy
move toward.
flowing for the new year. Yeah, I
Yeah.
love that you write it all down, and that you don't just do like, you know,
Lose 10 pounds. That's on there sometimes. That has been on there. I'm not saying it's not, but there are bigger, deeper, more important things, I think,
yeah, yeah, I love
that
that.
are. So I do not, you do however you want. If you have no issue and you love your routine of starting January 1st, do that. But if you are someone that wants to set intentions and wants to focus on resolutions, I don't think that you have to. I think you can give yourself grace throughout the holiday season. Be present, enjoy it throughout New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, and then work on it after that.
Well, if you look at what statistics say, people, you know, at New Year's resolutions, people that start them on January 1st, by January 31st, they've already given them up. So,
Yeah. I
you
think
know,
it's probably because they're so rushed. They're not like really thought out, and
it's just a bad time of year to do it.
it is.
It's cold, it's dark. That it's really when we were supposed to be hibernating. I mean,
Yeah.
you know,
Hibernating, like reflecting and
yeah.
just nurturing
The
yourself.
more intentional internal work. Well, I have one last thing that I feel like it goes without saying, but that I'm going to say is the biggest thing I think you can do to protect your peace during the holidays is to let go of the guilt. That is like
Agreed.
the guilt
That's
on
hard.
everything, you know,
Yeah.
guilt on like making holidays perfect, guilt on not going to every gathering, the guilt on, you know, setting boundaries for yourself with negative people, whatever it is. You know, I think sometimes guilt is a huge driver for so much, because of things that we do that we don't really want to do, because it's how we um, save face with relationships and things in society. It's like, well, if I don't do this, you know, people are going to talk bad about me, or they're going to think badly about me, and it's really not your job to
Or
manage other
they're going to
people.
get their feelings hurt.
Right. So,
Like if I don't go to their party, they're going to have their feelings hurt. And you're like,
right.
that's not your.
Right. So let go of guilt. That would be my last little.
Yeah. And I think to do that also, we have to recognize when we guilt someone, because
Mhm.
that is like, I think women, we are raised to match and to meet a standard of like, you do this, you behave this way, you do this. And I think that if your friend doesn't come to your party, or if your kid doesn't want to do something, don't guilt them.
Right. Don't take it personally.
Yeah. Don't guilt them. And then just accept it. It's fine. Everybody doesn't have the same idea of what the holidays should look like.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I hope that today's episode has given you some solid advice on how to approach the holidays and keeping your peace. We would love to have you hit the follow button on the podcast so that you can stay notified and get our episodes delivered directly to you. And if you're in the giving spirit this holiday, we would be very grateful if you would take the time to write a written review on whatever podcast platform you listen to us on, because it helps us beat that algorithm.
Yeah. And we are so appreciative that you guys are all here with us. You know, we've had some growing pains, like just a learning curve getting this started. But we both are loving it and want to continue to see this grow. And anyway, so we're going to see you in January, because we're going to be present through the holidays with our families and what's good for our souls. So we'll be back in January. And we would love it if you would follow us on our socials, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. So we will see you in January. I hope that you have a wonderful holiday season.
See you then. Bye.
Bye.
This has been a production of Estrogen Dropouts, LLC.